Oh, sorry. What's up, Rally Towel fam? Welcome to the show. It is Taco Tuesday with Todd. Todd, how we doing today, sir?
Hola. That's fitting for Taco Tuesday, right?
¿Cómo estás, amigo?
Muy bien, muy bien. Happy to be back on a beautiful Tuesday night.
Yes, sir.
How was your
Yes,
weekend,
sir.
dude?
It was good, man. It was good.
Let's go. What up,
Rob? Rob Meter in the house. It was good, man.
He said
Partied.
Toddco Tuesday. My man coming in here
Ooh.
with the dad puns. Let's
Ooh.
go.
That's a good
Let's
one.
go.
I love it. Hold on. And I love it. Okay. No, it was good, man. Partied Friday, and then streamed Saturday and Sunday, and went out to Thurman's on Sunday. Actually,
Jealous, dude.
it's
I'm jealous.
a very prestigious burger joint here in the city of Columbus. They have a burger called the Thurminator, which is like 2 3/4 pound patties. Like the sandwich is literally like as big as my head. It's like 5 pounds.
It's a dream come true.
And you got to eat it with a pound of fries, and I think you have like an hour to do it. It's like $25 for that meal. I'm telling you. Caroline's dad got just the Thurman, which is the smaller version, which was still huge. Crushed it. I got the it's called the big three or something. It had like 3 slices of cheese on it. All their burgers are the same size. I added bacon to it, and it was delicious. So
that sounds good. Yeah, I've been trying to get there, man. We were gonna do it.
It's a small place.
Yeah, well, we were gonna do it the weekend of my birthday when we first moved up here. COVID, so didn't really get a chance to do it.
Yeah,
but yeah, we've been trying to figure out a way to get on like a Thursday night or something like that. That's what we want to do. Like try to get there on a weeknight, maybe even like on a Monday night or something, so I can put in work because I'm only like 10 minutes from there now. I'm not very far from there now where I live.
It's pretty darn close.
Yeah,
yeah. Just let me know when you want to go, and I'll be there. I want to watch you crush this thing.
I need to expand my belly a little bit before I get in there.
I think you can handle it just fine, sir. I honestly do. You might be in some pain, but I think you can crush it.
I feel pretty confident. It's been a while since I've challenged myself on cuisine, but
yeah, chat. For those of you that don't know, this man can absolutely eat his face off.
It's true. I used to be kind of self-conscious about it and like didn't like when people would talk about it because everybody, that's the thing, is like, oh my God, this dude goes nuts when he eats. But like, I like it now. I'm not quite the eater as I once was. I put on a few LBs so the tummy doesn't expand as much as it once did, but I could still, when I put my mind to it, I could still throw down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, they had, we got some cheese curds and zucchini fries for appetizers. I've never had zucchini fries, but they were actually really good.
They are tasty. If they're seasoned accordingly, it's worthwhile. It's a good.
They're very good.
It's a good dish.
Dip them in a little marinara sauce, and they were unbelievable.
Marinara.
Absolutely. Are you replaying your dance moves? Because I did like that. Liked it a lot.
Thank you. You like that? So the intro music that we roll into, I changed it before Aaron and I did it because I was trying to find something different, and I found that, and I was like, oh,
it's a groovy tune.
Oh, you can get down on it, right?
Why does it have to go so hard?
It goes so hard for it's only a minute, and it's not enough. We need to open up the intro window and make people anticipate us just a little bit longer so I can get in my zone, like the situation.
Might be able to bump it up to a minute 15.
All right. So first things first. It's Tuesday. We're talking tacos.
Yeah.
So
all of it.
First things first. Are you frying your tortilla at all? Or are you just going straight raw tortilla?
I mean, it depends. If it's just me, I'm probably just gonna go raw tortilla. If it's if I'm making food for multiple people, I'm gonna throw it in the pan with a little bit of butter.
Right. Try to get just a little toasty. So here's a pro tip for you. And for those of you watching, if you have a cast iron skillet, Throw down just a little, throw the butter in there, get it a little saucy, just a small dab of hot sauce, just a teeny tiny bit. Let it roll around in there, give it a few seconds, and then you just drop that tortilla in on one side, pull it back out, put your toppings in, and by the time you roll it up, it's magnifique. Mwah. Love it.
That sounds delicious.
It's a beautiful thing. I did it one time, and I'm so fucking hungry by the time I get home most of the time. I can't wait to just eat a fried tortilla for 30 seconds because I'm an impatient man. But God bless if that's a game changer. I'll have to do that for you sometime. Do a little taco night.
Yeah, I mean, you know I love food, so you can invite me for whenever dinner is being made. I will be there early. One of the things I'll actually show up on time for.
All right, so we're talking tortillas, we're talking tacos. For those of you in the chat, what is your favorite part of a taco? It could be the meat, it could be condiments.
It's a loaded question.
I mean, so that's the question. What's your favorite part of a taco?
I mean, I'm not going to be basic and say the meat because I feel like that's a boring answer. For me, it has to be cheese. I love cheese.
You are a cheese man.
Yeah, and you can get really elegant with your cheeses too. The meat in the hot sauce per Rob. So what kind of meat?
Not a bad answer.
What kind of meat do you like?
Yeah.
Do you like?
Are we talking
beef, pork, pulled chicken, carnitas,
steak?
Yeah,
I mean, al pastor. Because here's the thing: if you get tacos al pastor and it's made the right way, because here's the thing: al pastor can get chewy if you let it either steam too, or if you let it like rotate and steam too long, or if you cook it like if you slow cook it too long, it gets real chewy and then it's almost inedible. But I think if you can get al pastor or do it right, it's kind of a game changer. But my favorite meat is carnitas. That's my go-to.
It's real good.
Like you buy like a half tenderloin, put it in a crock pot. You could get all the seasonings to make carnitas. I mean, there's prepackaged stuff too. And again, don't be afraid of the hot sauce. There's a little hot sauce in there. Make it part of your routine. 5 hours later, you get some really nice carnitas. And if you're a normal person that's eating it, it probably lasts you 3 or 4 days. But for us, it lasts a day and a half because I eat half of it for dinner. Mary eats what she wants, and then I take the rest to work because I'm a fatty. It's gone. And then it's gone. You're right.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I love chicken tacos. That's like my thing. I don't know. They're good. They are good. They're simple. They're delicious.
Here's the thing: you can screw up chicken really easily, though.
You can.
I mean, you've had. I know I have, and I know you've had your fair share of just like baked chicken, and then you just try to do anything you can to stomach it.
Baked chicken sucks.
Yeah, so you get to a point, and like I've gotten to a point in my life where I know that. I mean, shit, we live next door to each other. You know, I ate that like religiously for almost a year. Just chicken. Baked chicken, brown rice, and then ranch broccoli from the frozen section, the bird's eye ranch broccoli. I ate that for dinner for the better part of a year. And if I can't even stomach baked chicken anymore. I can't do it. It has to be like
pretty gnarly.
It has to be fried, or like now that I got this well-seasoned cast iron skillet, I can rock it on there and I'm okay with it. But like as soon as chicken goes in the oven, I can't do it anymore.
Nope.
Unless it's covered in 2 pounds of cheese. That's the only way I could tolerate it. Or like some sort of like creamy sauce that it's not healthy for you anymore though.
Right. I'll tell you what I have to do. I'll have to do some chicken breast in the cast iron with my homemade honey mustard. Let's let it marinate in the honey mustard and then saute some mushrooms and bacon and then top it with some cheese.
I love it.
That
sounds delightful.
That's a great dish right there. That's a dish I haven't made in probably 5 years. But man, it is amazing. I've been on my chicken burgers lately, so those things are.
Yeah, I can't find ground chicken right now. There's no Kroger by us that has.
It's tough. It's tough to find, man.
Gosh, every time we go to the grocery store, I look for it.
I will tell you the 2 stores that have it are the one next to me, where you used to live, obviously. The good one, not the one down, and then the one on Schrock. by that gym that I took you to.
Oh,
that one typically carries it too.
Dude,
those are two places that I usually find it. You have to go in the morning because if you try to get it, if you have to get it in the afternoon, it's gone. Number one, because it's the cheapest thing that you can find ground, because beef is like $10 a pound now.
It's so crazy.
The chicken's only like $5.99. So that's why I usually get it, because it's cost effective and I can make it taste good.
Dude, I've been doing it with turkey. I've just been doing it with ground turkey, making. I could very similarly make the chicken burgers that you made with ground turkey. It's not quite as succulent, if you will, but
a little bit more dry.
It does the trick. Though. It still firms up well in the cast iron, bro.
It does. Yeah.
The cast iron skillet. If you guys don't have one, you gotta get one, and you just gotta. The first thing you gotta cook in it is something super greasy, like sausage,
bacon. Just cook some
bacon, and then just put that thing in the oven and don't think about it until you make your next meal. And from there on out, it's perfectly seasoned. Yep. That's it. Don't touch it. Don't put any soap on it. Nope. Or I can sense it, and I'll come to your house and I'll tell you how wrong you are.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even rinse it out with water. I would just wipe it out with a paper towel.
That's exactly what I do.
Until it's like either that or that water needs to be scalding hot.
Yep.
Scalding hot.
Right.
And then you just let it soak for 5 minutes to where you can wipe it with a paper towel if it's a little too thick on there. But yeah, I've never washed mine. I've never put soap on it. Yeah, after I'm done with it, I put olive oil on it and I set it back on the stovetop.
Yeah, so I put mine in the oven, and anytime I bake something in the oven, I just rotate it down and I let it cook in there. So then like the rendered fat sticks around in there, and it starts rendering out rather than like kind of creating the seal. It renders down. So then it's getting into the cast iron. So that's a pro tip for you.
I might have to do that with my other cast iron.
Dude,
I've wiped the one that I had, like I've been using a lot. I've wiped it out too many times. It's starting to like color.
Burn. Yeah. So you can fix it. You just it's a lot of oil treatment, but you can get it back to it. So if you put oil in it and then you start putting it in the oven.
I have another one. So
then
I might just start fresh with the other one now.
Dude, if you stop using another cast iron, let me know. I'll use it on my grill.
Okay.
That's another pro tip. You got a charcoal grill, put a cast iron skillet on it. Steaks get real good. They get real tasty.
Maybe we should transition this to a food podcast instead of a sports podcast.
Here's the thing. I just want the world to know that I'm not a one-trick pony, ladies and gentlemen. I have at least 3 hats that I wear, maybe 4 now. I like sports. I think I'm an okay dad. I like food.
No, you're a great dad.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I'm a husband. Those are my 4 hats, and I feel like I wear them all very proudly. Food is
Caroline. Thanks for liking the video.
Caroline. But food has been something that's an integral part of my life from.
No, I love throwing down
as young as I can remember. I used to like watch my mom cook. It was a very important part of my life to watch my mom cook the ground beef to make spaghetti. I don't know why I always enjoyed that when I was little. I'm sure if my mom's watching, she probably laughed a little bit because I would just stand in the kitchen and watch her do that, and then mix the sauce in. It's a total game changer. So it's a beautiful experience in my childhood. Still love spaghetti to this day.
Yeah, it's a great dish. It's always a great dish. All right. Well, let's transition from the food talk to the sports talk a little bit. Some hometown.
Oh shit, that's right. This is a sports podcast.
Yeah,
my bad.
Sorry. Gotta keep us on track here a little bit. We're 15 minutes deep and we haven't said anything about sports.
Oops.
Hell yeah, Rob, keep getting them dubs, baby. I almost caught you in dubs today, by the way. If you look at the scoreboard, so go check it out. I'm on your ass, baby. Joey B. It was clickbait for me because it's like Joey B had to have surgery. I'm like, holy shit, what happened? And then it's like, oh, he just had appendicitis. I'm like, who gives a shit? Everybody gets appendicitis.
Isn't it crazy that makes national news now, though? It's
unbelievable.
Imagine if it was post-rookie injury, Joe Burrow has to have an appendectomy. Nobody cares.
Nope.
Nobody cares. But now all of a sudden, the Bengals are starting to get some
Super Bowl contending Bengals quarterback, Joe Burrow.
Yeah. has appendicitis and has to have emergency procedure. That's how I read pretty much this. I got clickbaited into it too when I was at work. Was like, Joe Burrow has immediate or emergency surgery. I'm like, what? Yeah. So it's crazy how the media has flipped the script on the Bengals so quickly. Everything is national news. It's just like the Jamar Chase thing with Madden. That's national news now that Jamar Chase got snubbed from the top 10 and wide receivers on Madden. I
saw like 4 TikToks about it. Of people just
and people are pissed. And here's the thing, like statistically, you look at Jamar Chase last year. I mean, he was top 5 in most of your important categories of wide receivers, right? In terms of targets versus receptions, total yards, touchdowns, yards after catch. Like he's in the top 5 in a lot of those categories. Mm-hmm. But he also, and it's funny because this came up on Twitter, and I love the conversation that came around it. He also led the league in drop passes, right? So So let me play this out for you. So everybody remembers preseason last year. He had a really, really hard time with dropping the ball. A very, very hard time.
Yeah, they were thinking that he was going to be a bust because he had no hands.
Right. So percentage caught thrown to for him was like just below 64%. For the other receivers in the top 10 of total yards category, and for wide receivers, the average was around like 67. But Jamar Chase also had 40 less targets than most of the top 10. Like he had 70 less targets than Cooper Kupp, which blew my mind. Like wow. Cooper Kupp got thrown to almost 200 times last year.
I mean, it showed. I mean, he was the best receiver in football last year, hands down.
Right. So I think that it's interesting that there was a lot of people. So the thing I'm referring to is that there was a Breakdown Sports tweeted out who outside of the quarterback position or outside of a quarterback player is your most elite athlete in the NFL. And somebody said Jamar Chase. And this guy tweeted at the guy that said that and said, like, well, he led the league in drop passes. He's not sure-handed. So the arguments that ensued after that, and this guy was basically throwing around some like analytic terms when he was talking about it, like
trying to sound astute.
Yeah, there's some like analytics are becoming more popular in the NFL, but I would say in terms of total professional sports in the United States, I would say that the science behind the science behind statistics is probably the least important in football, because football is really the only sport where you get out there and if you're stronger, you can win, right? You can win more often than not if you're bigger, faster, and stronger. Look at Derrick Henry. That's why he wins.
For sure.
But this guy was kind of throwing around some like really obscure statistics around Jamar Chase. And then every single thing that I read, and I even commented back on this on our Twitter, was like, this is the top 5 in most of your important statistics for a wide receiver at the bare bones. Like, right. Yeah, maybe he's not the most elite guy, right? Like as a Bengals fan, I could even say, I don't think he's the most elite athlete in the NFL. I think that he has the highest ceiling to get into that top tier wide receiver level. I think him and Justin Jefferson share that very, very closely in terms of young guys at the wide receiver position. But, the argument that this guy makes is that he makes it sound like it'll never happen because he drops the ball too much. Like, here's the thing is that for a rookie to have 120 targets and to catch the ball 82 times, that means that Joe Burrow is going to probably throw the ball to him 40 more times this year. So I firmly believe Jamar Chase breaks 100 receptions this year. I was shocked to know that he didn't, because I thought for sure that he did. But I think he's a 100 reception guy. I still think he gets over 1,400 yards again. I think he's double digits in touchdowns. So then the conversation changes, because if you could do that 2 years in a row, especially your first 2 years you touch NFL grass, like you get into some pretty serious conversations, right? Like look how quickly the NFL accepted Christian McCaffrey after his first 2 years. And look at the contract that he got after his first 3 years. Yeah. So I think that you're going to continue. I firmly believe you see Chase continue in that conversation of top tier athletes, but I just think it's funny how, you and I both we're sports science guys, right? We allow statistics to sway our opinion one way or the other, and we
absolutely
accept and appreciate analytics for what they are. But it was just a really good example of a guy using one part of a statistic that means very little. So basically,
to make a case,
right? And then one of the first arguments back was like, well, in the games that he scored a touchdown, they only lost one time. So that's it. That's your conversation, right? Like they win when he scores. So
yeah,
I think people just need to be mindful of when they're getting their information, especially from social media, because everybody gets their information from social media. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Making sure that you're relying on reputable sources. That's my advice. That was what I gathered from that string of tweets and replies.
Absolutely. Nick Gottschall, Carl Underwoods, thanks for liking the video. Gentlemen, if you have not hit that like button, please do so. Everything counts.
I noticed you were using your groomsman cup.
I am. That's why I threw it in here.
Solid. It's
a nice little tumbler.
It is. So that was Nick's part of Nick's gift for all the groomsmen in his wedding. And I use it at work now because I leave my cup everywhere.
Great.
Worst case scenario, somebody sees it. I believe I'm the only Todd in the office. But I'll just take it back to his desk for him.
Right. So it literally has your name on it.
Yeah, it's a win. It's a win-win. It's a
nobody can take it. It says Todd.
Nope. Yeah. And if somebody does and I see it, I know exactly who it belongs to. And I take care of it.
Little man with his Silverado. We won't get Todd started on this guy, chat.
There's always one guy in every office.
There's one guy in every office, and that's him.
Yeah.
Anyways, flipping the script a little bit, headed over to the Diamond. As we all know, July 31st is quickly approaching, which means that the MLB trade deadline is now almost 4 days away.
Well, so it's August 2nd now. So they've adjusted the deadline. Yeah, so they adjusted the deadline to August 2nd for this year. This is the first year that it doesn't end. That doesn't end in July.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah. They extended it 2 days because the season was delayed.
I didn't get the memo.
That's okay. Well, the season was delayed, so that's why.
It makes sense. But typically, the trade deadline is July 31st, and next year the trade deadline will be July 31st because that's
correct.
If it doesn't, then my brain's just not going to work. But obviously, probably the biggest name in question for the trade deadline is Juan Soto. Juan Soto recently declined. I believe we talked about it, a 14-year, $440 million contract from the Nationals. He's made it explicitly clear that he does not want to be a National beyond the trade deadline. So the big question is, where does he go? You know, there's 7 teams that have been speculated by the Sporting News of where he could possibly land. Todd, where do you think he's going to go, and who makes the best fit?
So I'm going to go with my boy Jeff Passan because he doesn't really ever lead me in the wrong direction. I really trust his opinion. He's of sound mind. Jeff Passan believes that he will be in San Diego before the trade deadline is over. And there's two important pieces to this puzzle that Washington wants for him. And I think that it's interesting because I think it makes the most sense. So outside of the prospects and picks that are going to be included in this deal, they want CJ Abrams, who is a top 10 prospect at shortstop, middle infield, and then Mackenzie Gore, who made his big league debut this year and has been pitching very well for the Padres. Those are two pieces of the puzzle that Washington wants in return for Juan Soto. For anybody that's wondering, the Padres are 5th right now in total salary paid because they gave Tatis Jr. that huge, ginormous contract extension. And
Manny Machado's got on a big deal too.
And he's on a quarter. So they're both on $250 million deals right now. Yu Darvish is on $100+ million deal. Eric Hosmer is currently still on the Padres and has a near $100 million deal. Blake Snell is on a $20 million a year deal. So there's a lot of money that's been spent in San Diego. And they weren't even a wild card team last year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that
huge disappointment.
You could argue that was the biggest implosion over the Reds even last year in baseball. I mean, you watched the Padres at one point in time being damn near close to first place or being in the running with, the Dodgers and the Giants, who both had 100+ win seasons. And then after the All-Star break, I think they lost like 50 games, something crazy. I mean, they went from apart. I mean, they completely fell apart. Fights in the dugout. Fernando Tatis Jr. completely lost his head. They were rotating people around left and right. Like it was chaos in San Diego. And I think that for them, they have to find one more piece that fits their mold to win. And everybody needs to remember, Juan Soto is 23. He came up at 19. So a 15-year deal for Juan Soto doesn't feel far-fetched, right? I mean, that's at 38. Albert Pujols is 38 today, or 38 or I'm sorry, Albert Pujols is 41. Miguel Cabrera is 38. So those are two guys that we're relishing in their careers, and they both received very large contract extensions.
For sure.
Large sign-in plays like Pujols did, and Cabrera got the extension in Detroit. So it's not far-fetched to see a 14, 15-year deal for Juan Soto, but his argument, or I'm sorry, Scott Boras's argument is that he's worth $500 million to a franchise. So
I mean, you got to think about, if he was to get a smaller deal and still perform at a high level, what's his asking price going to be in the next 5 years?
Sure. So that's where now you enter the Cardinals into the conversation. So say the Cardinals trade for Juan Soto, which right now they're pretty high on the radar for Juan Soto because they have a ton of prospects. I mean, their farm system has a lot of guys that are MLB ready who are just waiting because the Cardinals have so many good starting players right now. Their roster's already packed. The Cardinals wouldn't give him that kind of deal because they've already given that deal to Nolan Arenado, right? Like they don't have the ability to have two huge contracts, right? I mean, Arenado's on a $238 million deal, somewhere in that ballpark. Even Goldie's on a pretty large deal year over year. Yep. They don't have the room as a franchise to build in a $500 million deal. So what's the answer? They'd have to shorten it up, right? Or they just trade for him to try to make the run in the National League, and then he's gone and he goes somewhere else next year in free agency. Because Here's the thing is that Juan Soto has not said that he wants to sign. He doesn't have to sign a deal this year, right? It's the same thing with Aaron Judge. I mean, Aaron Judge is doing the same thing in New York, right? He hasn't signed an extension with the Yankees yet. He's waiting to completely explode this year to get more money. And Juan Soto is doing very, very similar things. He's having another great year. He's a top 10 NL MVP candidate. So say he gets traded to St. Louis and he's the piece of the puzzle they were missing, and he hits over 300 post-trade deadline and they get to the World Series. Now he is worth $500 million, right? So then a team like the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Giants, they can afford that really girthy contract that Juan Soto is going to want. So I could definitely see him getting into a team like St. Louis and riding the season out for more money, or I could see him landing in a city like San Diego where they can afford to pay him that kind of money.
Do you think St. Louis would be willing to give up that much minor league capital for half a season?
Yes, I do. I think that they are so close. The National League is kind of tight right now in terms of who is the clear cut to come out of the National League to play in the Fall Classic, because the Mets and the Braves are neck and neck. They both have holes in the rotation because of injuries. You have, let's see. I mean, you have the Dodgers who are still leading in the NL West. The AL Central, I mean, that is the Cardinals to take, right? I mean, the AL Central is the NL Central is the weakest division in Major League Baseball. Yeah. I think the Cardinals, number one, they have the ability to, and I think if you were to look into it, you would see that they do have the ability to give up that much and still not really compromise their future either, because they have so much young talent that already exists on their active 40-man roster, that giving up 5 or 6 guys or 4 guys and 3 picks, that doesn't mean a lot to them, because the St. Louis has always done a really nice job of building their farm system up to not have the lapses that we see for teams like the Reds or Tampa Bay or Oakland right now. So yeah, I certainly could see him in a Cardinals uniform. I hate it as a Reds fan. It doesn't mean much this year, right? Like, I'm not going to lose any sleep if he's in a Cardinals uniform this year, because the Reds aren't even in contention to get into the wild card spot. So
right,
whatever. I will tell you now, if he does end up on the Cardinals, I will absolutely drive my ass down to Cincinnati or drive it over to St. Louis to watch him play. I would love to see him play. I think that he's a generational talent, that for us, right, for people in the Midwest, we haven't really gotten the opportunity to get to see him in action. You know, Washington only plays in Cincinnati usually once a year, and those tickets sell pretty quickly with him, especially when Bryce Harper was there. Yep. So I would love to see him. I would make the 6-hour drive to St. Louis just to watch him play. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because here's the thing: if he does end up on the West Coast, we're back in the same spot anyway.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing Bryce Harper play. The dude's a machine. I got to see Aaron Judge play this year. He's having the best year of his career. Got to see him hit an absolute just laser beam, which was pretty dope.
That's cool.
Got to see Shohei play last year, and he took a big 0 for 4, which was very disappointing. The one guy I would have loved to have seen at least get a hit, Shohei. Nope.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to make more trips to see that man play whenever I have an opopportunity, because that dude is unbelievable.
Especially because you also get to see Mike Trout play too.
Yeah. It's amazing that I led with him and didn't even mention Trout.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, well, Mike Trout too. That's a pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah, but I've seen Trout. Trout's awesome. Watching Mike Trout, that man's a pleasure to watch too. He's unbelievable. He's our age too. He's what, 30, 31?
Yeah, he's 31.
Man.
Yeah, I think we're in a pretty special spot for baseball, and it's not really talked about that we're watching arguably the most talented player that's ever played the game in Shohei Ohtani. And we brought him up a ton when we started this podcast, right? We were head over heels in love with the dude. Yeah. And baseball is so down that we're not even really talking about it, right? We're leading with Juan Soto, and then we're talking about Shohei later. And Shohei has I want to say this the right way. His slugging percentage as a hitter is 100 points higher than the slugging percentage against him as a pitcher.
Is that stat I sent you? Was that on?
Yeah.
Was that in Facebook Messenger? I'm trying to remember where it was. I want to read that stat verbatim. Hold on, let me find it.
So, I mean, that's a pretty great thing, and we're not even talking about it. It's not national news anymore. It's like it's like the world forgot about Shohei, which is incredibly unfortunate. I mean,
you know what? I think it was a TikTok. Hold on. Hold the phone.
Let me see if I can look it up too.
Yep, it's right here. Where's it at? I think it's this one.
The Facebook message you sent
here it is. Here it is.
Was Nick Chubb going nuts?
Since 1974, when Shohei Ohtani is pitching, the slugging percentage of batters with running and scoring position is lower than any pitcher since 1974, and it's 210, which is terrible with runners and scoring position. It's the lowest it's been in 50 years. But on the contrary, when Shohei is at the plate hitting, he has the highest slugging percentage with runners in scoring position in the history of baseball.
It's pretty special.
He's doing it on the mound, like what?
And here's the thing: is that there was a lot of speculation that last year was a fluke. I think he's proving it's not a fluke, right? That if you're doing it year over year, it's not a fluke. It is It is your ability as an athlete. And he will continue to be an all-star year over year because there's nobody else that's playing the game right now that can dominate as a hitter.
So what is his worth? What is his worth when his contract's up?
$600 million. Well, here's the thing though. You got to remember he's old. He's 28, so he's a little bit older, right? So which feels weird to say that, but he is older in terms of young baseball talent, right? Because we didn't get Shohei in the United States till he was 22. And Jordan, yes, he's a very neat man. He's a neat fella. I would suggest looking him up and just watching a little bit of what he's able to do if you don't know about it. But I mean, you could get him on a 5 or 6 year deal. And here's the thing. I think that he could get plus Max Scherzer money, right? Max Scherzer's making $43 million a year. Shohei could make $50 million a year.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be ridiculous for him to get like a 6 or 7 year, $350 million deal.
No, I don't. It's not out of the question. I think 6 years and $300 million is fair, right? It's $50 million a year. You're guaranteeing 2/3 of that, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, it's not, because all baseball money is guaranteed, but maybe you're back ending that or front loading that, and then you're taking care of yourself on the back end if you're an organization. But my fear for Shohei is that he ends up in New York. I really do fear that. He's already in the second biggest baseball city in Los Angeles.
Yep.
But I think in New York, what he's doing gets tarnished, right? Because the fans are harder. New York's just a tougher city overall in terms of sports. Look at how New York turns on the Jets and the Giants year over year. Look how they turn on the next year over year. The Mets sucked for a long time, and New York made sure that everyone knew that the Mets sucked. And if he had a Joey Gallo situation, like where Joey Gallo is right now, where he's just absolutely tanking, it would tarnish the whole thing that he's done in the last 3 years that he's been healthy. And I don't want that to happen for him either. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't want a guy to go to a town like a New York where they're not appreciative. And I'm sure New York fans could argue with me about this if they ever would so desire. I'd love to have that conversation with the Yankees or a Mets fan, or any East Coast sports fan. We'll throw Philadelphia in there too. But I think they're not appreciative of. They're not even appreciative of Aaron Judge because they're so bad-mouthing him for him wanting more money. If you're the Yankees, you're paying him whatever it takes, right? Like if I'm a Yankees fan, you're preaching to the Yankees, pay him whatever it takes because he's the glue. He's pulling that shit together. I mean, New York is good. They're the best team in the American League, and they
wouldn't be without him,
right? Because they're scoring a lot of runs because their pitching is not that good. They have a lot of injuries. They don't have a great starting rotation. I mean, they have Garrett Cole, and that's kind of it. That's why the Yankees are in such strong conversations for Luis Castillo still, because they don't have anybody else to fill out that rotation to where if they get into a 7-game series, you can't throw Garrett Cole 5 times, right? You just can't.
It can be pretty dicey.
Yeah, so you get into game 4 or 5, and you are really usually teams are only throwing 3 starters out there. Like that can get tough for New York because if they face a team like Houston where the pitching is, top tier, Houston beats them in a best of 7 because they could beat them on the mound, right? They could slow down run production, right. But the Yankees can't get better at pitching until they make some moves. So I would hate to see him do that. I would hate to see him go to New York. I just in my like the bottom of my heart, I feel like that's where he ends up anyway. And then it turns into
teams that'll be able to afford him.
Yeah, that's kind of where my thought process is like now that the DH is universal, New York's really his best landing spot, right? That's the only city where it makes sense who can afford him, because I don't think he ends up in Dodger blue. I just don't. He's already done the LA thing. I think his agent would say he needs to go somewhere else. So
right. Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, he's still got 2 more. He's got 2 more years until he'll be 30 when I believe his current contract's up. So there's time for that. But
yeah, we'll see. Jordan, just for the record, I would watch that argument too.
I know a lot about the guy.
That would make for great television.
Thank you both. I appreciate that.
But yeah, no, this is our Town Hall Tuesday. I renamed it Taco Tuesday for today. If you guys have any sports questions, taco questions, any types of questions you want us to dig into today, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I would love to have it. If you haven't liked the stream yet, please make sure you smash that reaction button. Looks like this. It's in the bottom right hand corner of your cellular device screen. But yeah, so I mean, it's obviously we're getting out of the dog days of summer. You know, we just got past the All-Star game. We're starting to get football's, less than 2 months away. Are there any taco related sports? Maybe a taco eating competition. I have seen those.
There's probably there's got to be like a taco sports analogy somewhere, right?
I mean, I don't know. Let's talk about it. No, nothing.
Okay. I got it.
Arlo back there, he did not care for that joke.
I don't
highly anticipating this response.
It doesn't look like that there's any taco related like sports analogies. I don't think there's any. I do know that when we went to my bachelor party down in Louisville, they were doing like a Hispanic heritage appreciation. And they were wearing the Spanish uniform and they had tacos on their uniforms. Remember that?
Yeah.
So there were some tacos in Louisville, some sweet hats too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've talked about the Savannah Bananas, Jordan. We absolutely are huge fans of the Savannah Bananas and what they do and what they're bringing to baseball and making it fun. It's a wonderful thing that they do. But yeah, I don't know where Los is. You can tag him. We'd love to have him in here. We haven't seen good old Los in a minute. So
I've seen him. Yeah, but he fell off, huh?
He's just kind of doing his own thing. I talked to his brother Sam. Huh. He's riding his motorcycle and playing pickleball and all that shit.
Just being an adult.
Just being a regular ass adult, which is great.
Yeah.
Some news from the gridiron as we move back in transition. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have added yet another stud wide receiver, Julio Jones, to a 1-year deal. What are your thoughts on Julio Jones moving to the the good old southern side of Florida?
I think it's purely a tactic to get a ring. I also think it's an opportunity for him to play with Tom Brady, which if you're playing professional football and you're a wide receiver, there's
not a lot of other people you'd rather go.
Yeah, he's certainly out of his prime at this point. You calling him a stud is probably would have felt more comfortable in like 2016 or 17.
Yeah, Earl just said stud 5 years ago.
Yeah, but
he's definitely past his prime. But I think with Tom Brady at the helm, he might be able to pull some Randy Moss vibes out of him. Yeah, when they linked up in New England.
Here's the thing: he's left his mark in the NFL, right? He was a top 3 wide receiver for multiple years. He made Matt Ryan very, very wealthy.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's cool to see him do what he's doing by going to Tampa Bay. I don't think it makes Tampa Bay significantly better, right? I think it gives him an opportunity for somebody to still stretch the field when he's healthy, right? Oh, look at that. Me and Earl on the same page.
Good to see you again, Earl.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming in.
But yeah, Jordan, you're right. He'll sell seats.
He will.
I don't think he's the main attraction there. I mean, I think Tom Brady is the one that sells the most seats in that stadium by far.
And you got to remember, he also has Mike Evans, who the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, that dude's amazing.
He's never had less than 1,000 yards in a season.
Yeah, even Tom Brady said it's the best receiver he's ever played with.
Sure. I don't think I don't really know where the argument is. I think you put him stat for stat in terms of size and speed and all the stuff that he's done in his career. I love when they do the blind stat reactions because people they throw him up all the time. They throw up his stats year over year, and they're like Devontae Adams. Like, oh no, it's actually Mike Evans. I'm like, oh, Mike Evans, he's not that good, and he's always a sleeper in fantasy football. So
yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is a beast. What is the deal with the Leonard Fournette memes? I don't know if I've seen these.
Ooh, so here's Leonard Fournette came into training camp.
Oh, it's because he's fat now.
A little overweight.
Okay,
yeah. So
I did see these.
so there's been a lot of Eddie Lacy, Kelvin Benjamin comparisons
Bro, have you seen Eddie Lacy lately?
Well, he's very, very big now. But do you remember that first year that he came into Green Bay and he was like 290 pounds or something ridiculous? Because Eddie Lacy was big in general.
50 pounds overweight.
Yeah. It's very interesting to see the Fournette because Fournette got a contract, right? And he just re-signed with Tampa Bay, I believe on a 3-year deal. So it's funny because he's kind of making light of it himself that he's kind of let himself go.
Yeah.
He'll be Leonard Fournette week 1, right? Like I have no qualms that he'll be in playing shape and he'll be 245 pounds and he'll be a shit brick house again. Like,
yeah.
And another part of that too, like it's not like what he does for Tampa Bay where you're like, oh my God, he's fat. Now he sucks. Now Tampa Bay sucks. He's just another piece that makes him even better. Right. He's just like they traded for him and all he's done is get better with Tom Brady. He didn't have a quarterback really that made him better in Jacksonville. So he's fat. So what? He'll lose weight. It's not like, remember Andre Smith for the Bengals a few years ago when he came in over 400 pounds? Like that's a problem, right? That's a guy that couldn't control what he was doing. For Fournette, I think it's more of maybe like a physical test. Like what can I do for myself in training camp? So we'll see.
Maybe he just took the time off this winter to just rest his body.
Yeah, he enjoyed his money, right? He signed a contract. He's just enjoying the his leftover from last season paycheck. So
I think he's still young enough to where it's not going to impact his play. He's still young enough to shed the. I mean, he's going to be doing training camp in Tampa Bay, which for those of you that don't know, it's really hot and humid down there, so should have no problem shedding that extra poundage.
All he's got to do is put a garbage bag on for an hour after every practice and just do walk some laps. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Jordan said that's a lot of the old Bengals can't control what they're doing. Yeah.
Well,
fair point.
To be fair, a lot of the times that was off the field, personal issues. Andre Smith was just a fatty.
Yeah.
He was.
He's a big old boy.
What a waste of a number 5 pick that was.
Yeah. I would say the only anomaly in all this is Vince Wilfork.
Or 3.
Vince Wilfork was fat, but that man was unbelievably talented for how large he was.
So Albert Haynesworth did it in Tennessee too, if I'm not mistaken, or was it in Washington?
It was one or the other. I can't remember. I think it was after he stepped on somebody's face.
Yeah, it was, and he also ballooned. I'll have to go back and look at that. I'm sure there's an article out there somewhere because of Fournette's like players that got fat in the offseason, and the first picture will be Eddie Lacy running with his gut hanging all the way out of his jersey. His hair is the little penny jersey they used to wear back in the day.
Right, Earl, you're absolutely right. Vince Wilfork got better the bigger that he got. I don't understand it.
Those times that when he was in New England, my God,
was a machine.
He was a horse.
Nobody
ran up the middle.
Guy.
Yeah. Nobody ran up the middle. There was you didn't have time because he would just stand there and nobody could move him. Yeah, because he's just an immovable force.
Yeah.
That's a great hey, the fatter you get, the better you got. Vince Wilfork, he's the anomaly of all of this conversation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That man is a legend for being enormous.
I love it.
Yeah. It's like a sumo wrestler. They're just working on getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh man, he probably there was a defensive lineman that used to train with sumo wrestlers, right? Am I making that up?
I'm sure somebody's done it. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know anybody off the top of my head. Chad, you might be able to help us out with that if it's an actual fact. I'm not sure. Let's fact check it real quick.
I feel like there was something that I read about that. Oh, no, there was a sumo wrestler that played college football. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. There was a former professional sumo wrestler that from Russia or something that came to the United States to play college football.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes a heck of a lot more sense.
Jordan said, "Tell me more about football. He hasn't started studying for the draft yet." Well, here's the deal, Jordan. I didn't win last year, so I had to make a really tough decision that I have to drop out of one of my leagues. That's the deal that I made for myself because I got it. I think I might have gotten over my head this year.
You were in what, 4 leagues last year?
5.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
5.
It's a lot to manage.
It was a lot to manage, and I struggled in a couple of leagues. And I've never finished last before, and I finished last in one of my leagues, and that broke my soul. So I will no longer be playing in that league. I have removed my name from that hat shamefully. Can't show my face to the commissioner of that league ever again.
It's just one of those things you just got to forget about it, man.
I'll never forget because I finished last.
Well, a couple first place trophies will mend that wound. Maybe
we'll see.
But no, man. I mean, the biggest piece of advice is just to, I would honestly just start doing some research, do some homework. There was a really impressive stat that I heard in regards to fantasy. There's no running back over the age of, was it 25 or 26, has never had back-to-back top seasons as a running back. So, be on the lookout for one of the younger guys that hasn't been, the leading rusher. That's where I've kind of got my sights set on. I know who I want this year. I know first pick, I want Najee Harris. I think he's going to have an absolutely incredible year.
Okay.
That's where I have my. I want to have a fucking dominant Pittsburgh Steeler on my roster for the first time in my fantasy football career.
That's it. That's your only option.
And I think he's a great one to have.
Here's the thing: is that to me, and we've talked about the Trubinsky Kenny Pickett thing. My advice is to stay away from Steelers wide receivers this year. I think Deontay. Look, here's the thing: I say if Deontay Johnson's available in the third round because everybody's scared, you take the guy, right? He is known to be valuable in fantasy when healthy. But your late Chase Claypool picks that used to be, his Burger King
that's
tiny hands. But Chase Claypool being a good late pick or a mid-round pick, I don't think that exists this year. I think he's a guy that the NFL figured him out before he figured out the NFL, and it showed a lot last year. He struggled last year. He got beat up pretty good too because of all the shit talking he does on TikTok. But if I have any advice, Jordan, and you said it, he asked if Jonathan Taylor could do it again. Yeah, the answer is yes. So I think it's funny that you bring the stat up about
Andy is unbelievable.
About leading rushers that under the age of 25 or whatever don't do it back-to-back years. I think that Jonathan Taylor is damn near close being able to get back-to-back rushing, get toe-to-toe with Derrick Henry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. And he's got the best offensive line in the league, hands down.
Right. And I didn't always agree with you on that last year, and I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. He proved me wrong multiple weeks. I think that he gets even better now with a better quarterback. I think Carson Wentz is just a fine stopgap for any team. talking about you Commanders as a fine stopgap. He'll get you through a year. He won't get you to the playoffs, though. Just ask what happened in Week 18.
Just got to have Nick Foles as your backup and your goal.
But Jonathan Taylor, for a position that's very expendable, he's very valuable to the Colts. The running back position is just it could be very easily pick and pull, right? That's why sometimes you see teams run three running backs out in a game. But Jonathan Taylor, to me, is the most valuable running back for fantasy perspective and for a team that is in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's got great hands. He hits the holes quickly, and he can get to that second level.
He's a north and south guy.
Yeah,
there is not a lot of
level super quick.
There is not a lot of that in the NFL.
No,
there's not a lot of Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and I think you could argue that Joe Mixon's one of the better north and south runners in the NFL
for sure.
Too.
I think Joe Mixon's going to have the best like rebound year. Not that he had a bad year, but I think year over year stats improvement wise, I think Joe Mixon's going to be the guy that takes the cake this year. Either him or Najee Harris.
Because he has a better offensive line.
He's finally got a line, and Joe Burrow is going to come back, and that offense is just going to be better. Pittsburgh playing for number 1 pick next year? Absolutely not.
Earl he's talking shit.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. It's okay. I can take it. I can take it.
I still think Houston probably gets the number 1 overall pick next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I know that's obviously, I don't know if that's a joke or not, but I would take that as a joke. The Steelers, regardless, I mean, since Mike Tomlin took over the helm back in 2006, 7, whatever year that was, I can't remember. It's been a minute though. He's never had a losing season, and I don't think he plans on tanking for a number 1 pick. That man has too much pride to let a season go to waste. And I think Mitch Trubisky's going to be the starter all year. I don't think we see Pickett. I really don't. I think Trubisky did well under a shit head coach in Chicago. Well enough. And now that he's got a great coach, and he obviously sat behind Josh Allen for a year, which even though he was younger, he probably learned a lot from Josh Allen, just by the way he plays football. I think he's going to be a decent quarterback. He's the worst quarterback in the AFC North. But you also have Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson. So it's kind of hard to slide in there. It's kind of hard to slide in there. Sure. If you're not a number 1 pick, or Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady or somebody like that, Pat Mahomes, it's kind of hard to slide in there and overtake those guys, because those guys are incredible.
Sure.
I mean, we have the worst quarterback, but I think we're going to get it figured out this year. That's just my 2 cents on it. Did you hear Burrow's having appendicitis? Yeah, we talked about that. I know, Earl, but I gotta defend myself here. I'm the only Pittsburgh fan on here, and I get shit on it.
So it's funny that you bring up Patty Mills or Davis Mills. Patty Mills. I was thinking basketball. Davis Mills is, to me, I think I call Davis Mills Daddy Long Neck. So it's funny you're talking about Daddy Long Neck versus Mr. Tiny Hands, which is better of the two. Davis Mills played well. And a rookie season for a very shit team. He showed some actual NFL quarterback ability, and for a franchise that is in complete and utter shambles, that's the only spotlight I saw last year for them.
They're right back to when they came into the league as an expansion team.
Yeah,
that's how bad they are.
It's David Carr all over again.
They might be worse.
Yeah. Well, at least when they had Matt Schaub had a top 5 throwing yard game, right? Because you got Andre Johnson, and then you saw DeAndre Hopkins walk through there. They really don't have any offensive weapons at all. I think they signed. Who did they sign? They signed a new running back, and I think that might be it.
They haven't done really anything, and it's
hard. It's hard to get better when there's so much negative spotlight on you all the time. I mean, they've been kind of in Marlon Mack. They signed Marlon Mack. So you got a good receiving running back out of out of it. And then you combine him and Rex Burkhead. That's their running back tandem. And their top wide receiver is Brandon Cooks, which again, if I'm playing fantasy sports, you're probably still staying away from Brandon Cooks.
Anything Texans related, defense,
yeah.
offense, you're not buying it.
And I think after that, that's pretty much it on the offensive side of the ball. They're pretty stingy. So you could draft their Hawaiian kicker. They'll kick a lot of field goals.
Right.
So
Jordan came with a question asking if the Jets turn it around. I think the question that we have to answer, QB position is Zach Wilson the guy?
I don't think I can answer that question confidently yet. They've done a lot in the last 2 years to get weapons. They've certainly gotten better. Going out and getting Garrett Wilson makes me throw up my mouth talking about an Ohio State wide receiver, but going out and getting Garrett Wilson, Berrios played very well last year. Moore played very well last year. They go out and get Breece Hall and draft him out of Iowa State and get an immediate starting running back. I think
the young team.
Yeah, it's young and it's hard in the NFL to win without proven veteran leadership. It's really hard. That's why what the Bengals did was so unique, because you just don't get a lot of guys like a Mahomes or a Burrow that come in and get to the Super Bowl so quickly. It's few and far between. So I don't know how I feel about Zach Wilson just yet. I think that he's a guy to watch a little bit closer though, right? Like I do firmly believe that, because now he's finally got some good weapons. I think Garrett Wilson, he was picked appropriately. He's the best wide receiver, ability to put up some pretty big numbers with his size and speed. And I think Breece Hall is a guy that could be a 100-yard rusher for the Jets too, barring him staying healthy. Breece Hall, the running back position is very expendable, but in terms of people that the Jets drafted this year, I think Breece Hall makes the largest impact, because they actually have a real 3-down running back now. They haven't had that probably since Curtis Martin, honestly. It's been a really, really long time since they've had a running back that they could rely on extensively, because I can't.
They had Frank Gore for a little bit, right?
They did, but here's the thing: is that Frank Gore, after the first 7 years, yes, he played for a long time.
I'm just trying to think of running backs they had that he
wasn't even great. He just wasn't even really a horse by then at that point in time in his career either. He was just out there for third downs most of the time, or for first and second down. So, I really like Breece Hall a lot. I think that will be. I think he's another guy very similar to Jonathan Taylor that you keep your eyes on and watch him perform. He's a very north and south guy. He comes from a run heavy offense in Iowa State. So he's used to having the ball a lot. So I'm interested to see the Jets put up numbers, right? Because we saw small blip. You see small blips of it from Zach Wilson, and then he throws 4 interceptions and you're like, oh, nope, that's bad. So we'll see. That's a good question, Jordan.
It was his rookie year, and he was with the Jets franchise that is terrible for developing talent. So, we can't. We gotta make sure we keep a low ceiling there, at least until we see otherwise.
Yeah.
But Earl, you're absolutely right. Brandon Cooks is a very underrated wide receiver.
It's hard in terms of talent. Yes, he has the ability.
He's never really had a good quarterback. I mean, he was in New Orleans for a little bit, a tail end of Bree's career, but
yeah.
But I mean, you had Michael Thomas as the star wideout, and then Alvin Kamara, so he never really got looks.
And that was when Michael Thomas was going nuts, like receptions, yards leader, back-to-back years.
Healthy.
For him, being in Houston's good because he gets a lot of. He's good. He's good enough that he still puts up strong numbers. Earl's right. He has strong numbers year over year, but he's also a guy that is injury prone. I don't know. It's hard to, I guess I'm looking at it from a fantasy perspective and maybe not necessarily from a statistical perspective. You can't trust anybody on a low performing offensive team, right?
Yeah.
But Brandon Cooks you're right. He is the only bright spot in Houston, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's the only offensive weapon, consistent offensive weapon that they have. There's a reason why they signed him after they lost DeAndre, because they needed somebody to put the team on their back. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of receivers in the NFL that could carry DeAndre's shoes, but or at least his days in Houston, that dude was a monster. Mm-hmm. Now Jordan asking Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, if he stays healthy, do they stand a chance? The answer is we'll see. I think they do. I think they have an opportunity to be, a contending team. They're gonna have to show up like they did in the back half of last season when they went on that 6-game winning streak. Like that's the team that we need to see, within the first 3 weeks of the season this year, to know whether they're going to stand a chance, because they played some excellent football last year and they have better pieces this year than they did last year, at least from a roster perspective. With the addition of Tyreek Hill, will Tua be able to utilize the full extent of Tyreek Hill's abilities? We don't know. His arm strength has come into question quite a bit over the offseason. And
Tyreek, I don't think so, though.
Well, he did. He did at the beginning when he first got there. But obviously, I think he was joking.
Yeah, well, now he says he has the strongest arm in the NFL. So, So it's an interesting question, because you have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devonta Parker. Those are and Gesicki, right? So it's
a great receiving core.
Yeah, so Gesicki, I think, with some better weapons around him, he becomes a better value tight end. He had a good year last year. He's had good years the last 2 years. You saw when Jalen Waddle was 100%, his ability to just catch the ball. He is very, very, very good at catching a football. He will grab a ton. He grabs a ton of receptions. And then you have Tyreek Hill, who's one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. So I am very interested to see. And here's the thing with Tua, and maybe we'll save the Kyler Murray conversation maybe we'll save that for tomorrow or Thursday. But Tua's an undersized quarterback in the NFL. And I don't think there's not a ton of long-term value in that type of. Now Arizona thinks otherwise, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy
getting Wilson too. He's sub 6 foot.
Yeah. Again, that's very few and far between in the NFL, right? The guys that are able to do that year over year. Most of the undersized quarterbacks that get in the NFL, they don't have long-term success, right? And I think you can make an argument that we haven't even seen a ton of real return on investment from Kyler Murray yet in terms of being a number 1 overall pick, right?
He just got a fat contract too.
He did. So, yeah, maybe 100% healthy Tua, which again, you don't see that very often. You haven't seen that yet. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Tua being a long-term response for the Dolphins. I think you'll see them make a move. Either they're bad, they end up being really bad in the next 2 years and they get a top pick, or who knows, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class. Maybe they mess around and trade up and try to grab the quarterback from Kentucky or Florida or BYU or something like that.
You think they give up on Tua 2 years in?
This is year 3 now.
He's 2 years. He'll be 3 years after this season, but essentially.
Well, Miami is known for giving up on people pretty quickly. So, and they haven't had any real, there's no playoff success for the Dolphins, right? So maybe if Tua can go out and win them a playoff game, maybe I could say otherwise, but
right.
I don't know. I don't watching Tua play. He's a guy that throws a lot of bad balls, right? I think you make that argument for a guy like Lamar Jackson too. They just throw a lot of bad footballs.
Yeah.
Tua just puts himself in a lot of situations he shouldn't be in. Like when he got hurt his rookie year, he was scrambling and trying to basically throw in the opposite direction, which caused him to get plastered. So He does that a lot. You could do that at Alabama, but you can't do that in the NFL. So.
Unless you're Pat Mahomes, he's the only man that can do it.
Yeah, and he's also 6'4", so that helps.
Yeah, he can take a hit a little bit, but I didn't realize Pat Mahomes is that tall.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Eli threw a lot of bad balls too. Yeah.
But he got 2 rings.
He did. He's got 2 rings to show for it though.
So did Brett Favre, right? There's a reason why Brett Favre has the most interceptions.
He threw the most bad balls in the history.
Yeah. So, and he's a Hall of Famer, but I just don't put 2 in. I don't know. I have very little faith in his ability in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, his ceiling for me isn't very high, but it'll be interesting to see what he can do this year when he's got a complete wide receiver core, head to toe.
I want to see him throw against Buffalo and Buffalo.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what I want to see. I want to see him throw against the Bengals in September.
I want to see him go against a top tier secondary and see what he can do with it. You know, yep. Is he gonna be able to pick them apart, or is he gonna struggle reading it and throw some picks? You know, and cost his team the game. You know, that's what's gonna separate Tua from here to here. He's gonna have to prove it. You know, he's got the ability to do it. I believe that he has the talent to get it done. Does he have the mindset to get it done? Because that's 2 totally different things. You know, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't get out of your own head and you're making poor decisions on the football field, talent doesn't mean anything at that point.
It's true.
So
we'll see. We'll get to see him in Cincinnati at the end of September. So Jordan, maybe if you tune in on the 29th when the Bengals get to wear their sweet all white uniforms with the white helmets.
Those things look sexy. Not gonna lie.
Tune in then, or maybe go down there and wear your white pants after Labor Day. It's up to you. It's some people say it's bad luck. Some people say it's always after Labor Day. I'll let you make that decision.
Here's the thing. That means you couldn't wear white any day of the year except for Labor Day, because every day is after Labor Day.
That's the joke, right? Every day is after Labor Day, no matter what. So maybe I'm sure Jordan has a pair of fine white linen pants laying around in his closet somewhere, and maybe a Miami Vice style white shirt. So I look forward to seeing you on camera, Jordan, in your full white linens.
Yeah, man. I thought you said it's gonna be sweat as hell. Yeah, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot in those linens, sir. Yeah, it is gonna be sweet as well.
No, he'll be cool in the linens. Right, it's a breathable material. He'll be fine in those. He'll probably wear flip flops with the linen pants, so you don't have to worry about that.
Are they just gonna go like just down to the ankle, so that way like you're still showing a little bit of skin down there?
Well, sure. I don't know. You can't get too long of linen pants, then it defeats the purpose of the linen. You got to show off either the loafers or the sandals.
That's a great point.
Thank you.
I do not own a pair of linens.
Neither do I, but I just take what I've seen in popular culture and apply it to real life, I guess. Fair
enough. Well, chat, if you haven't reacted to the video yet, please make sure that you like the video. Jordan, Earl, thank you for all of the conversation tonight. It's definitely been awesome. If you guys have anything else you want us to talk about here in the next couple minutes, please let us know. I like showing off my caps a little too. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you got the cap, show them. That's what they're there for, baby.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
White shorts then. I don't, Jordan, you have to wear all white. That's the rules if you go to the game. Is it a complete whiteout? Is that the rule? That's what they're trying to promote it that way. So here's the thing: if I'm watching on TV and I see a guy in a white shirt and khaki shorts, you're the first person I'm calling, Jordan, because I know it's you.
Oh, just shit, that's funny.
Just kidding, Jordan. I just know you. I know Jordan appreciates a little humor every once in a while.
Absolutely. Well, we got one more big headline to really tackle before we hang it up for the evening chat. Some news coming out of the San Francisco area. Kyle Shanahan has announced officially that Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback and Jimmy G will not start. So some big news out of there. Obviously, Trey Lance is going to be a second year. Is that correct? He was a rookie last year.
Yeah, I think you're. Yeah, I think
no. I believe he was a rookie last year.
I think.
Let's look it up here. Trey Lance.
Third year.
Really? God, like, where's the time go?
Yeah, he was drafted in 21. No. Wait. You're right, second year.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
He was Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, so he's a rookie last year, sat a year under Jimmy G, played a little bit last year when he was hurt, but now he's officially going to be the starter. So what does this mean for San Francisco and Jimmy G?
So I think there's a lot of teams that will need a quarterback if a starting quarterback is injured, like the Broncos, right? Or Seattle. So Jimmy Garoppolo is a great trade opportunity for San Francisco. I think the second part to that is that Kyle Shanahan is showing that he's investing in the future, right, rather than the present. Now you're combining him and Debo together, who they actually showed some chemistry when Trey Lance played last year. So
yeah, I know I had Debo on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he had one of his best. Yeah, I think he had
he had his best games when Trey Lance was behind
center. I'm assuming that when Kyle Shanahan makes a decision like that he's thinking about Debo, right? Because that's your best offensive asset that San Francisco has. So here's the thing: is that Jimmy Garoppolo has done exactly what he needed to do to earn one more contract in the NFL, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He went to an NFC Championship game, so he beat the Packers, right? I mean, maybe he didn't necessarily, but he was a part of a team that beat the Packers,
absolutely,
who were strong favorites. So he's done enough to stick around in the NFL. I'm assuming you see him in a starting role, either like I said, sometime this year or next year again. Where teams are looking for a stopgap for maybe it's drafting a rookie quarterback, and or a team like Seattle gives up on Drew Lock after this year, and you could get a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited to see Trey Lance perform consistently. I think it could go one of two ways with him. I feel like there's a lot of Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance, right? Which is funny because they're of a similar. They're similar style quarterbacks where they're kind of run first, good, better on the run than in the pocket. But Trey Lance is also like, you don't really know anything about him because he only played a couple years at North Dakota State, or even 1 year at North Dakota State. So there's very limited film. You've seen him very limited in the NFL. So I'm just really interested to see, like, I want to see him play. Because I don't know a lot about his performance. Right. I only know of really 1 week last year, and him and Debo connected I think Debo had over 200 yards that week, if I'm not mistaken. So that part's cool, but like, is he going to be able to hit other targets? Is he going to be able to read a defense to make the right decision and not just throw to Debo, right? I mean, they platoon running backs. You have George Kittle, who is a top 3 tight end in the NFL. Like, there's weapons there. So I'm interested to see how he does with that. I don't know enough about him to have a strong opinion on him. You know what I mean? There's just not a lot. There's not a lot out there for him if you look things up. Yeah, he has all the measurables in terms of size and speed to be an NFL quarterback, but I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in the games he played last year, he had a 57.7% completion percentage, 97.3 passer rating, threw for 600 yards, and ran for 168.
So it's not bad, right? I mean, you're showing that he's not super accurate, right? Sub 60% as an NFL quarterback to me shows a little bit of opportunity and accuracy, but that's a very small sample size, and that's also not being a starter and not getting all the reps every week over week with all your starting peers and building the chemistry. So now he has a month, 5 weeks to build chemistry with his peers on that first man rotation, and we'll see what he does. I will certainly be watching him. He's another guy I'll be watching very closely this year just to get a feel for what he's actually capable of. I think that he is somebody for like Josh's football fantasy league. I think he's a strong candidate for like a
second tier, third tier quarterback.
Yeah. Who could, I mean, that's the same reason I drafted Jalen Hurts last year, right? Like San Francisco is either going to give him some garbage points or he's going to end up, or I mean, it's three ways. Like he could bust or he'll throw for 200 plus and a couple touchdowns a game. So I will be watching him closely, and I'm not surprised with San Francisco going in that route. I think it was the writing has been on the wall since their season ended that Jimmy
I would have been
Garoppolo
blown
was
away.
I
would have been blown away if Trey Lance wasn't the starting quarterback this year.
Me too.
We'll just put it that way.
I was actually surprised that they waited until training camp started to even confirm that. I assumed that we would have heard all offseason that it was Trey Lance's job to lose. And
maybe that was strategical because maybe they wanted to hold on to like keep those trade rumors quiet, until the season started. That way, if something happens mid-season, they've got an asset that they can trade for something that if they have an injury.
Yeah. I mean, that's another team that has one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. So, and defensively, they're top 10. So we'll see.
Jordan said, "I will wear khakis to the club on any human Cincy night fight me."
That is risky.
Asking for swamp ass.
You're gonna be walking out of that club, and those khakis are gonna be black because it's hot. It's hot up in the club.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been to a club since I was like 23, so I don't know if it is anymore or not. But
I can't really ever say I've been to. Yeah, I guess I've been to a nightclub, but
you ever went to Mint in downtown?
Nope.
Oh man,
where's that one place that we went to like after your college graduation or whatever?
Oh, that was
Tony Delk. What was that place?
Oh shit! I don't remember what it was.
It was down on Fountain Square somewhere.
Was it?
I can't.
Was it not Mint that we went to?
It could have been. He was popping bottles. I don't. That's all I remember.
Tony Delk. That's all that matters.
That's the story.
That's the story.
Yeah, Tony Delk was there popping bottles well after his NBA career had ended.
And nobody was coming up to him though.
Nobody knew who he was, except for us.
And we were stoked. I'm kind of mad at Nick because he didn't take a picture of me with Tony Delk. But whatever.
Yeah. Hey, we got to talk to him.
We did. It was cool. As a Kentucky fan, it was awesome. That's a guy that had a great career for UK and has been a professional athlete. So it's pretty dope to be able to rub shoulders. He gave me a glass of champagne, which I thought was cool. So
yeah, it's your birthday or your graduation.
It was graduation. Yeah, it's after my college graduation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's still a great time either way. All right, chat. Well, that is going to do it for us this evening. We appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night. We will be broadcasting to you live here from Facebook and YouTube. So please make sure to tune in, drop those likes, hit those follows if you haven't already, and make sure that you share the video. We appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Jordan Earl, thanks for helping us out tonight with the chat conversation. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys tomorrow. That was like in perfect unison.